I think that's vital. I mean, if people don't see me sweeping the floor, they're going to think that I think I'm better
You're
than
leading
them.
by example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to Livestream. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Plains, with my co-host, Jeremy Applegate, and we have an amazing guest today from Pennsylvania, KJ from Benco Dental. She is in charge of practice solutions for the whole company. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Thank
I
you.
like the bang bang.
Did you?
That was good.
Oh, I forgot to put it away,
Oh,
though.
you didn't put it
Yeah, I
away.
forgot to put it away.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you for coming
no, I'm happy to be
spend,
here.
spend some time with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I'm
want to talk
excited.
a lot about, Benco and Benco's role in the dental industry and
Sure.
new
The new
innovations.
innovations, correct.
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes, a lot of shifts.
What do you think?
And we'll talk also about DSOs versus private practices.
Okay, yeah.
And
I'll get in
there's
there.
a lot
Let's
of
dive
great
in.
stuff to talk about.
All right, cool.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your background.
So I work for Benco Dental, Practice Solutions Manager. I should probably speak into this. And prior to that, I was a VP of Operations for a private group practice. And before that, worked for a DSO that you and I both worked.
We won't say that.
No, we don't have to talk about the name. So I've been in dentistry probably 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. Prior to that, I was in restaurants, which nobody cares about, but I was.
He was in restaurants too.
I own my own restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He did. So you have a lot of passion for patient care, and I heard from your team that you're very devoted in being hands-on rather than be one of these managers or directors that just sits in the bench and just kind of cheerleads but doesn't get in the field. I hear you get on the field.
I think that's vital. I mean, if people don't see me sweeping the floor, they're going to think that I think I'm better
You're
than
leading
them.
by example.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not above anything, and I think I owe it to my team as a leader to, it's an injustice not to show them how we want things done, hold them to that expectation, and really hold them accountable and coach in the moment. I'm a real big believer in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jeremy, how do I feel about that?
He agrees.
Am I hired?
You're hired.
By the way, we're still KJ. Sorry.
But seriously, that goes to show a lot about who you are and your passion and your purpose,
Yeah.
which is to take care of those patients.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest challenge is how, we talk about this and we talk to people like you that understand that.
No one's like
get
me.
it.
No one's like me, Jeremy.
Well, okay, I'll recant that for a moment. But how do we get teams and practices to understand that's the most important thing?
Yeah, because most people think that you get a title or you get a leadership position, and that means that you have the authority to micromanage and basically be on top of them and tell them what to do, rather than be like what we were talking about, a servant, and be a servant leader and lead by example.
Yeah.
So how do you get your managers and your front desk or your lead dental assistants to cooperate with your vision, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's all perception is reality. And, if we're fighting against each other, we certainly can't row the boat in the right direction together, which is a way faster way to get to a goal, right? And I think it's about just being transparent in what those goals are. And everybody in the practice should know what those goals are.
Yeah.
And we tend to keep things so close to our chest and not share that. And I don't think that's fair to our team. How are they supposed to know how they can contribute?
Why are people afraid to share that information?
It's silly business. I have no idea.
I don't get it either. I don't get it either.
So for the last 3 years, I've been very devoted into fixing my culture, building the right culture, building my mission, vision, values. And it's been very hard to implement it, especially with the employees I had preemptively that didn't know about where my company's headed.
Sure.
Now they find it so alarming, oh my God, so many changes. So, and I'm trying to do it as a proactive owner and lead by example, but they just don't want to jump on the boat.
I think the easiest solution, in my opinion, is to hire somebody not for where your practice is, but where you want it to be. And when you have a rock star, people their game changes because nobody wants to be last on a list. Even if you're not
That's true.
if you're not competitive and you don't really care, nobody wants to be the worst.
That's so true.
And so you're elevating everybody. And I think that challenge is necessary, but also, like you said, the culture piece is huge, and getting everybody bought into that is hard, but having that conversation and being transparent again about what that looks like. But also, I forgot where I was going with this. I had a mimosa. There was a really valid point, but we'll come back to it. That'll be
No,
edited.
that's excellent information for sure. when you started in your career in dental after being in the restaurant business, how did you become better? Did you have any mentors, or you basically learned by yourself throughout the whole process?
That's a great question. I don't think I'd be anywhere where I am today without mentors. I believe in that more than friends, to be honest, especially if you take your career seriously. Not saying friends aren't important. I think there's a balance in life, but it's about quality, not quantity.
That's so true.
You know, keep people close, and those mentors are critical though, because you know I think the best lesson is failing.
Yeah.
You know, and failing over and over, but learning from that and not making those mistakes again. And that's made me a stronger leader.
That's great.
I think everybody's afraid to fail.
Everyone's so afraid
that.
to fail.
It's just like, you know, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and let's go again.
Love it.
I mean, I don't understand.
You got to learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. Everything's a lesson.
Yeah, for sure. Always.
So when you started in the dental space and you found out about, because when I started my first dental practice, I didn't know how much paperwork goes in the back end, right? Like all the insurances, all the different fee schedules.
Yep.
So as you graduate out of dental school, I feel that dental schools have a terrible way of giving their students, you know, realistic business administration courses. They don't do anything. They teach you how to fill teeth. They teach you how to do root canals. But when you get out of school, you really don't know where to start from.
Yeah. Is there a question?
I think
Basically what I'm trying to say is like, is there any recommendations that you would give to the new students that graduate? Do you recommend them maybe going to work for a small group for a little while before they go and open their first practice? Or how would you mentor them if you could in regards to what they need to do next?
I think that's a great question. I think there's a lot of great resources online. There's a lot of, the best athletes in the world have one thing in common. They all have coaches, even the best of the best. So getting like an outside perspective to look at things objectively, I think is critical. But I agree with your statement, not to steal your answer for the question, but if you can go and be an associate for a year or two and get your hands-on experience, also becoming confident in your dentistry, right? But then also taking the time to like learn what everybody does for revenue cycle management. What is a clean claim? What does that look like? I think that's crucial.
Yeah, like a lot of people, and I say it all the time, like I had a year and a half, 2 years in corporate, and everyone feels like, oh my God, how did you do with corporate? But at the end of the day, it was a blessing because I learned so much of the business side that I would have never been able to gain that knowledge working for a private practice.
And now you have 8.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Well, you know, and I think before we started recording, KJ and I were talking about, you know, insurance and when to get in and when to sign up as a provider and all this other stuff. And they get victimized by all that stuff, like rev cycle. I mean, like we were talking about HMO plans, you know, and how you need to really analyze that piece. You know, some of them might be okay for you. Some of them are going to be awful for you. And I think that's the missing piece, and I think we need to fix the dental schools. We're going to fix that today on this podcast because the business piece of this is
there's
awful.
No business.
There's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing.
There's no communication classes, right, or courses during dental school. There's no business during dental school. It's all clinical, and it's a big mistake. And let's be honest, you know, these guys still need 1 or 2 years to really understand how to do a filling anyway.
Correct.
Right? You know?
That's why I'm a big fan of either you go ahead and you graduate and you do a residency for at least a year or two, or at least work for someone else that is willing to be a mentor for you.
When I think like you two have something right special, and I think your growth probably had to do with the trust that you have here. So that's another piece of advice. Like if you can find somebody that's a business-minded rock star and you trust them and you know they're going to protect your license and your wallet, that's your person and you're going to grow together. Yeah,
because most dentists are fact finders.
Yeah.
So they're either fact finders or in the disc they're stabilizers. You know, they just want to go do their job. They like their routine, but they don't want to deal with all the business nonsense. So it's true what you say. If you find somebody that can take that piece for you, but you got to be careful too, because a lot of dentists have been embezzled because they don't understand the end of day processes, the beginning of the days, the audits, everything that needs to be done. I'm sure you've heard of dentists being embezzled for thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars by their most trusted office manager. So I still recommend that you should participate in some type of training school or program, or goes to meet some of these accountants that have big dental CPA firms, so you can understand what a profit and loss statement should look like.
Yeah, you should know that, and you should meet with your see, like, I mean, you should have an accountant, number one. And a lot of people, I'm not even joking, like we have a lot of coaching and education customers, and they don't have a CPA. And I'm like, how in the world are you managing your practice?
I do my taxes myself.
Yeah, no,
QuickBooks.
please don't.
QuickBooks.
Please don't.
Yeah, QuickBooks.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah. But it's interesting what you find out. And being that close to customers, you learn a lot about their behaviors and things like that. And it's shocking. It really
is very shocking. So in your experience, what do you like, do you recommend dentists to go into a de novo or an acquisition if they can? Like, what are you, like, me and my dentist friends talk about, like, de novo versus acquisitions. I think there's pros and cons to each.
Sure.
At my point right now, I like de novos better because I buy everything brand new and everything state of the art versus an acquisition. You get the patient revenue, but you're also dealing with revenue cycle errors and equipment issues.
Outstanding
and things.
treatment plans, sure. I think it depends, but if you're building a brand, which I think you might be doing that, I would stick to on-brand things. So for you, that makes sense. But if I'm trying to, let's pretend I'm a dentist and I am trying to acquire maybe 30 offices in the next 10 years and then sell it to a DSO, that may be a whole different story.
Gotcha.
But with a brand, I would absolutely do what you're doing.
Do the de novos?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got the de novo pretty down, I think.
And they look similar, I would imagine. In some,
they're very similar.
You know where you are, and that's huge. Yeah.
It's like Albert Einstein. I'm going to wear a black shirt every single day. I don't have to think about it. Well, Steve Jobs said the same thing. Same clothes every single day. So you got to stay consistent.
As a project manager and as a dental office support team member, that's my phrase there. What do you see as the biggest opportunity in a dental office? In a group
revenue-wise?
Yeah.
There's three of the biggest revenue drivers are absolutely hygiene, and that's not just hygiene recall, but like perio, people who are underdiagnosed.
Wait a minute, we still do perio?
Oh my God, hygiene is so neglected.
It is, and it's terrible, and it's systemic to other health issues. Why are we not telling our patients that? If I go to the doctor and they say, "Oh, you have diabetes," well, I'm
they're still going
to treat it. It doesn't hurt, but we're like, are we not going to treat that? No, we are. It's serious, and I feel like it's an underserved portion. And what is it? It's like almost 50% of people over the age of 50 have some form. Yeah. So
I think that's a challenge with respect to the dental industry as a whole. They don't value the dentist. They don't value the services that a dentist.
But I blame ourselves for doing that.
Yeah.
We devalue the service. Yeah. Somebody does a $79 special, which I know I do. Then the other person does a $59 special. So then guess what? You start struggling for patients, then you lower it to $49 to compete with the $59. So there's a lot of challenges, but it's like a great point that you said. Dentists need to stop focusing on thinking that they are competition to one another. You're competing with Disney, like you said, the new car, Louis Vuittons for the wives, or sometimes the men now.
I was going to say, what about me?
And the cruises and the vacations, and you're absolutely correct about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you that I am correct.
That was hard. That was really hard.
So, at the end of the day, if you were a dental student or even a doctor that has a practice that is struggling, where would you start focusing? Would you create like a SWOT analysis, or what would you do to help that doctor? Like, let's say there's a doctor that's doing $1 million of revenue, but his overhead is $900,000. So how would you be able to assist a doctor in regards to what advice would you give them, or what piece of analysis would you help them out with?
I think that's a great question because we see this all the time. And I created this program in Benco that actually does this. It's like a 60,000-foot view of the practice's results. But we dive in. Like, I know people believe in cookie-cutter dentistry. This is controversial. I do not. I think every practice is different. And you have to look at the demographics, the staff. There's so many things that aren't tangible that you have to be aware of. And so I think really taking a deep dive into some key reports and really analyzing what those are, and then having a discussion about what the behaviors are for the metrics and why we're not meeting goals. Are we even talking about goals? Probably not.
No.
Yeah. Are we
no
having
morning huddles, correct. No morning huddles.
Probably not. And so there's a bigger conversation. And when you put things in perspective, like one example I can think of is I had a doctor who was doing fluoride for like $15, but this was a huge practice. Yeah. And he was like, I don't care about $14 or $15. And I was like, well, if you'd done fluoride on half of your patients, you would have gotten $850,000. Does that matter to you? Guess what he charges now? Fluoride.
Fluoride.
Yeah.
It's
So
always, you need fluoride, ma'am. You need fluoride, sir.
So I think it's a high-level overview and assessment. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. We present it in an hour, and we go deep.
So like you pretty much do what I normally do before I look at
Acquire.
a procedure by provider report.
Absolutely.
Look at what are the opportunities. Like one of my first practice that I bought, I knew that right away I was going to be able to increase revenue. Why? Because I looked at the procedure by provider report, and he didn't do dental implants. So right away, you know that you're going to increase the revenue. Even if you do 50 implants in the whole year, you're still increasing the bottom line revenue.
Yeah. I think there's so many great tools, and I think like the key is what are the results, right? And what can you fix, and you being able to identify that. Yeah.
But it's like you said, the biggest thing that dentists neglect because they want that approval syndrome, they have an approval syndrome, is hygiene. They see patients with pockets of 5 or 6 that haven't been probed probably for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're fine. You're fine. I deal with it a lot in the Northeast. We get a lot of snowbirds from the Northeast.
Sure.
And, you see all these perio issues, and they've been going to the same dentist for 20 or 30 years. But I think I am a victim of it as well. Like, it's an approval syndrome. You want the patient to like you.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Why?
Yeah, as a dentist, why is that? The medical guys don't give 2 shits if a patient likes them or not. I mean, why do you guys care so much?
I think it's because we want to retain them. We don't want them to go anywhere else.
That's interesting.
I personally believe that's the reason why.
Well, dentistry is looked at as elective, right? It's not really looked at like that diabetes example. I don't have diabetes, by the way. I just want to let everybody know that. Yeah. But I think it like going back to that example, it's it doesn't hurt, so I don't need to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Where if you need surgery or something like that, you're going to go get it. It's just not taken as seriously.
like
so you have to have a harder conversation with your patients.
That's right.
Yeah.
At that point, you got to have those hard conversations.
Yep.
And then, now one of the biggest challenges that dentists face now is like you go and you tell that patient you have 5-6 millimeter pockets, you need SRP with arrestin, irrigation, whatnot. They don't like what they hear, and then they go write a bad review. So, those
He's out for the money.
Yeah, that's
Right?
correct. So those are the type of challenges that dentists now are facing that I think we have a lot of great things going, but with social media and with Google reviews and Yelp, they can crucify you online. So that a new patient goes, checks reviews, sees, this doctor or she is money hungry, they might not want to go to your practice.
Well, in my opinion, and I just want to stop you there because I feel like if they're leaving thinking that, then we didn't educate them well, right? Because what's the consequence of not doing this? Am I going to lose my teeth? Do you know when? No, you can't predict that. But at some point, if you're not managing that disease, which it is a disease, it's going to progress, right? So I think if people leave with that mindset, we didn't do a good job of educating.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's one of the most important things.
It's so true.
That goes to both providers, the hygienist and the doctor.
Oh, yeah.
But you've seen, we have photos, we have this nice camera to take extra oral pictures. We have digital, we have CT, we have scanners. And do our team use it? No, they only utilize sometimes that intraoral camera. And sometimes they don't even probe because they're like in a rush and they don't want to do it, And it's not only me, it's seen it in other dental practices as well.
Well, that to me is sort of lazy, right? Because how are you going to diagnose? Like you can see certain things on x-rays and I understand that, but how are you really going to truly diagnose if you're not looking at the other parts of that? That's interesting. And that's a bummer, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a shame.
Like we do it in our offices where we have me or my wife or a doctor that's been with me a long time. But some of these offices like in Orlando or down south that I can't oversee daily, they cut corners. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think that's a good conversation to have, though, and get the team aligned because what could happen, and I'm just saying worst case scenario because I like to be that guy sometimes.
You don't strike me as a pessimist.
is okay, what if somebody does have perio and that same scenario you described, they go somewhere else because they've moved because attrition happens, and then they're diagnosed and they're like, well, they never told me that I had. Well, now we might be in trouble here. So it's really important to be transparent.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's what we run into now with the snowbirds. Up in New York, those guys are, you're fine, blah, and they come down here and you're like, what? I've been going to the guy up there for 15 years. They only clean my teeth.
That's right. I want a cleaning. That's what I want.
Crazy.
You're not only are you gonna get a cleaning, you're gonna get a deep cleaning today.
Deep cleaning.
Yeah.
You don't have a little bit of bleeding. Your teeth are falling
Yeah,
out.
like you go to some, like I worked a lot with Scheduling Institute when I started my career. For 3 to 4 years I was with them. They ban you from saying cleaning or deep cleaning. You
They
can't
should,
use,
yeah.
You can't.
You just made my skin crawl when you said deep cleaning.
Well, it was me being facetious,
I
but
understand.
but,
I understand.
but I do think a deep cleaning. But you know, scaling route planning, like, I mean, I know that sounds scary, but if everybody's using the same
Correct,
verbiage,
that's correct verbiage.
It's less intimidating to somebody that doesn't want to be in your
Exactly.
practice. And not that they don't like you, but nobody
They
wants
don't
to,
like us.
They don't want to be at the dentist. They
don't
want to
like
be
us.
anywhere else.
They don't like us.
Yeah.
It's not like when I go to the barber, I'm excited to be there. There's very few people that are excited to be at the dentist.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we need to change the atmosphere and turn it into a barber shop.
I've thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, I've spoken to Jason, but he wants a little room in the corner
Oh, I see.
back
No,
there.
Can't do that then.
So, you know, there's a lot of changes in dentistry. You know, I believe that the consolidation that's taking place between private practices and emerging DSOs, or even the large scale DSOs, are, you know, they're, you know, either you join them or you get eaten up by them. How do you feel about that?
You know, I think there's something to be said about service, and I think you're probably in this business because it is service-minded,
It is
right?
service.
And I mean, I would love to, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, why you became a dentist, right? And I'm sure there's some really heartfelt, like, reason.
I'll be
And-
happy to share it.
Yeah, and I think that you know, there's something to be said about a culture or this brand that you're building where you don't feel like you're just, you know, on this assembly line
Yep.
of just boom, 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 boom. You have XYZ, go get this treatment plan done. I need to commit, whatever. It's no, I'm going to educate you and have you understand this, but you're going to be taken care of by all my rock stars because I hire the best team in the world. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for the quality.
I agree 100%.
I took a saying from Aspen Dental. You know, the patient experience will never exceed the team experience. And that's relevant because, you know, if you don't have rock stars, the patient sees that, the patient feels that, the patient, you know, is already anxious and full of anxiety. I mean, it's just, you have to have those people.
I agree.
But Jeremy sees how I get when I walk into the break room and I see there's a patient waiting for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable, because I believe in customer service and
Yeah.
patient care and trying to be the best that we can possibly be. And I try to translate that to the team. Like, listen, this is not my practice. This is our practice, and we're here for our patients. And I'm a big, you know, I always translate that message every single day I go in.
I think an independently owned practice, especially, it has this like family feeling, and it's like the most comforting thing that you can sort of get in,
Yep.
in a place that you don't want to be. That's just my opinion.
So
I think some of that might be, I'm sorry to cut you off there, Duck, but I think some of that might be in the private sector versus the corporate or DSO sector is, you know, the DSO and the corporate sector have guidelines, and it is a situation where they're being very transparent with the patient. You know, when you get into a private practice that's been, you know, servicing that community for 20 years, you know, he's a buddy. You know, he's the neighbor down the street, and it's always like he doesn't have to have those uncomfortable conversations. And I think there's a stigma there between private practice and the DSO, is the private practice doesn't ever have to create a situation where the patient's uncomfortable because they don't need to be transparent because, you know, I know Dr. Smith, you know, our children go to the same school and stuff like
Exactly.
that. And the DSO side, they're like, it's just us being transparent. Like, you have periodontal disease. I mean, there's just no way around that. You know, you need to fix that tooth because you need a crown on that tooth. Well, Dr. Smith down the street's like, he only told me I needed a filling. It was just an occlusal, that's all. He's like, half your tooth is missing. What are you talking about?
100%.
It's just interesting to me that that's kind of, it just hit me. Just like hit me right in the face. Is my face a little flatter?
No.
Okay.
You're still bubbly.
Still. My Atlanta, let's not go there today. Or let's go there today. I don't care.
I love you,
Let's go.
man. I'm just messing with you. So I read a little bit about your bio, and it says that you're a big proponent of internally promoting people.
Yes.
So I'm a huge proponent in that. So immediately I knew I was going to like you. So how do you, why do you really like that? Like, I'll tell you my reasoning why.
Yeah,
and
do you want to
can-
go first?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, it's like there's nothing that makes me prouder than seeing something that either I built or I worked on or I devoted my time to grow. So when I built these relationships with my employees, because like I said last time, one of my most important factors is building relationships. when I see people that I can help them change their lives, like that makes me so happy. That makes me happier than if you give me like a gift, for example.
That's awesome.
Just seeing how I can transform somebody's life by giving them my efforts and my energy and coaching them and mentoring them.
I think that's awesome. There's an interesting example I just thought of when I was interviewing for the Benco position. The question was asked, what are you most proud of? And I should have said awards, right? But I forgot about those. And I said, honestly, helping people grow their career. That is the most rewarding thing. And it makes you feel like you're successful, right? You can't equate a dollar to it. And a word doesn't matter. Yeah. It's a feeling that I get that cannot be replicated any other way. And I believe so we have per diem coaches on our team. So it's like their side hustle sort of thing, if that makes sense. So they're just per diem. But what I do is I build a bench of excellent, outstanding coaches. And then when I grow, guess what happens? One of those grow. Yeah, and they come with me. And so I'm building this empire. I don't get head count, so I force it.
The KJ
I force
empire.
it, under the Benco umbrella. That's what I'm doing. And I'm sure my boss knows this, but that's what I'm doing. And we have an incredible team and an incredible reputation. So
imagine if you can, the rule of 3, imagine if you can create 3 of you. What would happen to those 3?
Good Lord.
Do we want 3 more KJs?
Jeremy,
the world needs it.
The world needs
the
3 more
dental
KJs.
world needs it. So those 3 will become 9. Those 9 will become 18, and so on, so on. So, we are always trying to find ways we talk about replication. It's very hard to find somebody like you, like we were just stating, but what qualities do you look and you identify on these, on these people that you're like, wow, I can put my efforts in this person and change them?
Attitude is probably number 1. I think there's a lot of excellent people out there who are at the top of their game, but if you don't have the right attitude, you don't get to play ball with me.
That's right.
It doesn't happen. So attitude is number 1, because I would take a B player all day over an A if they have that
they show up. If they show up.
And they're eager and they want to learn. Somebody that wants to learn and is adaptable and understands that we have to constantly pivot to make sure we have the best things for our customers. I would say, but attitude is number 1. And I've interviewed some people who on a resume, impeccable. And you meet them and you're like, nah, you're not going to fit in here. It's not going to happen.
The resume sometimes doesn't match.
No, not at all.
How are you so successful on this piece of paper?
Organization.
We talked about this. Yeah. Everybody has organization on their resume. Everybody.
Organizational skills.
Are you supposed to put that on?
No.
I don't have that.
And then you talk to them about it, you're like, well, how are you organized?
I would be like, this is how I'm organized.
It's
It's
relevant.
very true.
It's relevant, and unfortunately, we're really focused on building the relationships, and I think that's part of it. And the technical stuff, the operation stuff, comes along the way. Everybody knows how to treat people, and if you treat people the right way, you're going to be successful.
Yeah, the numbers follow. There's no question. Culture is everything. I think it's critical.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
That's 100%. Like I say all the time, the purpose. What are you there for? What is your purpose every single day?
To be above average.
To be above average?
Yeah. No, honestly, my purpose every day is to feel fulfilled. And if I can help one customer, I am happy. And we do that multiple times a day.
That's awesome.
It's very rewarding. And our services are cheap, which is great, but the ROI is super high. And we're helping people overcome these barriers that they just can't get themselves out of.
They can't get
And that's really rewarding. I get excited every time I wake up.
Do you have a personal, morning routine or evening routine?
Oh, boy.
Something that gets you in the zone. Is it like a book? Is it music? Is it meditation? Is it exercising?
Meditation is something that I don't think my brain would ever allow me to do. No way. I'm a musician, so music is like my jam.
What do you like to play?
I play guitar in a band.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Did you bring your guitar?
No.
You could riff.
That would have been cool.
Yeah,
that would have been
couple
cool.
riffs. Yeah, man.
I messed up. Yeah.
We didn't know.
I didn't either.
I would have made you bring it.
Oh, damn. Is there a guitar center around here? We're all going. Bring the mimosas. But music really gets me hyped up. I'm really sharp in the morning. I'm a 5 a.m.er. I like to do some sort of exercise. It's not necessarily the same because I get bored easily, so I need a lot of mental stimulation.
What's your personality style, if you don't mind me asking?
So we actually do birds on the disc.
Okay.
So I am an ID.
Okay, so you're an influencer driver.
Big time, yeah.
Okay.
The other 2 things, I don't even know if there's a rating on those. I don't know. But that's why you get people who can balance you out, right? Like, I know my deficiencies, but I also know my team's strengths, and I really believe in aces and places and the right people doing the right things. And I have teammates that can make up for that, my lacking skills. But I also lean on my strengths. I believe in that, and I think we talk too much about weaknesses.
Yep.
I like to call them opportunities.
Yeah.
But yeah, doesn't that sound better?
You guys went to the same school, didn't you?
Do you say that too?
Yes, all the time. I swear to God, all the time.
Dude, we gotta get tattoos after this. You and I are aligned.
That's right. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. It's gonna be that mimosa bottle over there, or the champagne bottle. Yeah. I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about opportunities and strengths.
Oh yeah, but I think we talk so much and we bury people in this negative place. But I really lean on my strengths, and I think that helps. It's helped me propel my career. That and mentors for sure.
100%. But I think we're talking about weaknesses, and I hate to sound a little political now, but what is the first thing you do? You put on the news and everything's negative. So
it is, yeah.
Your mind is programmed slowly but surely to deal with negative. So that's the first thing you see from the moment you wake up.
And you want to know why the word opportunity comes out of my mouth a lot?
Yeah.
Because I don't turn the news on.
You don't turn it on?
I don't have cable. I'm with you.
Never.
And I don't do social media anymore. I think it's cool for what it is, but for me, it's just there's a lot of junk on there. So no Facebook for me.
For sure.
I do have Insta though. I just lied. I have Insta.
That's all right.
I like photos. Don't you?
Yeah, why not? Heck yeah.
Instagram is cool.
It is, yeah.
Instagram
but
is cool.
Facebook is pretty negative too, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I closed my Facebook like 15 years ago.
Dang.
Never even thought about it.
You're an innovator.
Wow, look at you.
Look at me go.
So Jeremy's an ID as well.
Yeah.
Same exact order?
Tattoo,
Yep.
baby.
Dude,
Let's
we
go.
get tattoos. All right.
Yeah, so we work well together because he's
The
he's
other
like
two.
a 97% D.
Yeah.
And
97%
I might be a little dramatic when I say that,
but really high.
really
Yeah.
high. Like I drove him
I
crazy.
think only 3% of the whole world population that's taken this exam is in that level.
Funny,
Really?
Yeah.
funny story. When we first started working together, we hit it off on the phone right away. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. Everybody knows that story. But because I'm such a heavy I, I drove him absolutely nuts.
He talked too much for you?
He just wants the freaking. He just hit me in the face with it. Stop all this nonsense. And we're not built that way. We're excited about having that conversation, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, Jeremy,
Yes or no?
what do you want?
What do you
Let me
want?
say yes. Let me say no. So it's a.
Just cut to the chase.
It's a
How much is it going to cost me?
Correct. That is definitely true.
Funny.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new exciting things, but we still didn't go back to that. And I know we went sidetracked, but like when you look at the private practices with the emerging DSOs and the bigger DSOs, obviously the emerging DSOs are more comparable to the private practices than on one or two practices. What do you feel is evolving in the dental space? And has Benko done any analysis on what's going on or the shift in the marketplace?
We do this thing every year called the State of Dentistry, which is really cool. I think we usually show that at not SmileCon, good Lord, no, Greater New York.
Okay.
We did that last year. So they do their own thing, but I think that we're going to see more and more people going to DSOs because that's easier. But I don't think independent practices are going to go away. I really, truly don't.
But do you think it's going to be more like concierge or fee for service, or they're still going to be?
With like insurances?
Yeah.
I think there's multiple things going on. In the state of Massachusetts, there was this vote. We just talked about that. And that's huge for practitioners. And then, I think there's one of two things going to happen. You're going to get coached out of PPOs because I've never been in any business where you can go to Target, scan 10 things, but only charge for 6. You know, you're missing 40% of your revenue and write-offs and things like that because you're not reimbursed. So I think fee for service is a strong play, but I also think we might end up being like cross-coding with medical. I think that's sort of where we're headed. I don't know. I would say in the next 10 years.
And you think that'll be beneficial?
Yeah, I think your reimbursement rate's going to be astronomically larger.
A lot higher?
Oh yeah. And things will be covered, right? If it's if it's a medical necessity, it'll be covered.
Yeah, we do medical billing. It's a nightmare, by the way.
It is, I know.
It takes sometimes 7 to 9 months to get paid after the service has been done.
Wowzers.
Yeah,
that
7 to 9
hurts.
months. We do it for full mouth rehabs, like full arches, and we go through Blue Cross and Blue Shields or one of those other big PPO companies. But it's a nightmare. And if a provider needs to wait 7 or 9 months for a crown he billed, The associates are going to be pissed.
Yeah, because their collections are,
So
they
then
have
you're
to
going to
wait.
have to give them a higher daily guarantee. You know, you'll get the money, but how long are you going to wait
Sure.
for? The vendors are not going to wait 7 months to get paid. You know what I mean?
they're not.
I've done that to Benko sometimes.
I think that us talking about this is going to create a situation possibly where the private sector is going to have to go full fee for service, because getting reimbursed by insurance companies is not going to be a sustainable income for them. You know, it's either take 1 or 2 PPOs and that's it, and then the rest of it's fee for service. But I would be worried about, how insurance is going to impact the private sector.
What do you think of those in-office billing, like dental plans?
Oh, I think they're great. Like, if you go to the eye doctor, they have those. Like,
Yeah.
because I have terrible eyes, so I have to go every year, but you can only get an exam.
Once a year?
Yeah, once a year, but then you can only get glasses and contacts, which are not both covered. So it's like, those things are very convenient, right? And at some point, you max out at $1,500 or
Yeah.
$2,000, but I need a full mouth rehab. Well, that's $25, $50K, depending on which way we're going. So yeah, I want your in-office plan. Yeah.
That will
Thank
make more
you.
sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. It's interesting because, that's where this is all going to go to, I think, with respect to insurance versus discount plans. People are going to start having to get creative. It's going to force them to get creative and force them to think outside the box and create these plans. Like, we just launched a promo for our patients. Get 10% off your treatment, if you become a subscriber of the podcast. So you're going to have to come up with that kind of stuff. You're going to have to get creative with that stuff.
Yeah. I think you got to constantly be changing, the wheels right now.
Yeah.
You got to be evolving constantly.
I think so too. Well, and how long is inflation going to, work its way out of the market? Is it going to be 10 years? I don't know, but it's going to affect our patients.
Yeah, well, the good news is, and I love how you brought that up, but inflation has actually went down for the month of October, so we're making some traction.
November.
I know, but they always
Oh, like close the books. Okay.
Yeah, in October. So in October, it actually went down a little bit.
That's good.
So that's really, really good.
Progress is always good.
So we're making some progress there for the economy.
Do you invest, or do you do any markets?
Crypto trading?
Yeah.
What's that thing that just like tanked FTZ?
FTX.
Oh, FTX.
Yes.
I was going to say I invested in that.
Wait a minute. Tom Brady was the spokesperson of FTX, wasn't
Was he really?
Yes,
And it
yes.
Oh, I didn't
tanked?
know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
my. Wow. I did not know that either.
He was one of them.
Wow. That's
Yeah, there was some big players in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and people risk losing billions of dollars that are
Billions.
frozen right now. Billions.
I think they're going to be bought out, though, by that competitor.
Binance.
Yes, that's
Binance,
it. Yeah.
He's a big-time crypto investor guy.
Well, I always read about global economics
Yeah,
every
it's
single day,
interesting.
at least 30 to 45 minutes, just to see what's going on in the
Yeah.
world. Because if you understand the currencies, like, for example, in Japan, that means that that gold, if the Japanese yen goes up, that gold is going to go up.
Yeah.
And if the British pound goes up, then that the British economy is doing really good as a whole, which means the euro will go up. So there's a lot of correlations between the dollar and the oil commodities and the stock market.
So our next podcast is about investing.
We can
we can
continue
do that.
talking about it right now.
I'm like, get my wallet out. Let's go.
We'll bring some guys in here.
We know,
you know,
we know a few guys.
Cool.
yeah, some pretty big crypto players.
That's cool.
They're young. They're very young, but they're very successful,
And they
very
get it.
driven. They
Yeah.
understand it, and they see that that's the future.
Yeah.
Just because of the ease of use, like, and I know we're talking about investing now, but imagine you have you ever heard of Ethereum?
Yes.
So you have Bitcoin and you have Ethereum. What I love about Ethereum is, like, for example, you can be here right now and you need to do a transaction, for example, in Egypt, and you can get that funds within seconds to Egypt within seconds, where before you had to go to the bank, shift.
Wait a few days
Yes.
to get your
Yes, and
that's
this-
interesting.
So there's a lot of benefits, and the wallets are so secure, so encrypted. So I don't think people are going to use money anymore soon. We're all going to have a chip.
I'm
somewhere.
thinking about where I'm putting it. Right here. Check me out.
Next to the tattoo of the champagne
Next to our
bottle.
tattoo.
Bam.
I'm looking forward to this tattoo. So where are we going?
Yeah.
We can go anywhere we want. You don't have any, do you?
No,
No, I didn't think so. You keep talking about getting one, but
no, I don't have a tattoo.
you should. What would it say? Dr. Fuzz?
No, something related to my kids.
Hey, let's not distract this Dr. Fuzz thing, because he called me bubbly, and
Yeah,
it's
what's up with the fuzz?
and that's a nickname that he got, right?
Yeah, I got it during residency from my buddy Dan, which is a dentist up in Inglewood. So he's like, dude, you're so like fuzzy, like. So then he
What
called.
does that mean?
And he says that I was like bubbly, like I just called you. So I'm fuzzy and you're bubbly.
It's a great.
So let's call this the Fuzzy Bubbly Show.
We're gonna change. Hey, Sarah, we're changing the name of the podcast. The Fuzzy Bubbly Show. Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah, I mean,
Can you change the title after mine airs?
yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
all right.
That's fine.
Good deal.
We'll change it after next week for the Christmas holiday. So, yeah, I mean, like, your resume speaks for itself. Like, you know, you're an inspiration to the dental community, so you should be very proud of your
you.
accomplishments.
Absolutely.
Really, really. There's not many people at our age that are so driven
Yeah.
to excel and build up, you know, a huge career out of their life. So you're going to be going a lot of big places.
Thank you. I appreciate
I know it. I feel it.
I do too. You know, it makes sense, and you know, you're aligned, you're confident, you're everything that is necessary to be a successful leader, and I'm going to say a lot. And you know, the offices that you support should be very very happy with.
Can you come support us for a little while?
Yeah.
I need as much help as I can get.
got you.
Thank
I'll
you.
do free RACs for you guys.
All right, sounds good. Well, hey, today was awesome.
So before we check out, is there any book or anything you
yeah.
recommend anyone that is like, you know, looking to grow and develop either personally or professionally that you would recommend?
There's two authors that I really like that I don't feel like feed you BS. One is Jen Sincero, Sincero. She has like "I'm a badass" and then like a million other words after, but you just need to read the first line.
Okay.
Yeah,
First line.
"I'm a badass" is all you need to know. And then anything by Simon Sinek, I think he is his mind is so interesting, and I like how he thinks about the why. If people don't understand the why, they're not going to be motivated to reach the goal. And I think I've never read anything from him that I wasn't like, oh, this is good shit.
Have you read Atomic Habits?
No.
That's a really good one. You should check.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I'll give it to you
All right,
once we're done. So thank you so much for
Yes.
being here, KJ. Thank you, Jeremy, for being a part of the show like always.
Always.
I hope you guys had a great time.
I had
Is
the
there
best time.
anything else that you want to say to our listeners?
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I appreciate your time, KJ. And again, Jeremy, you can listen to us at Dr. Alex A. Plains on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, Dr. Alex A. Plains. Thank you.